Shabbir.
Jai Jinendra, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. And today's topic, it's a very interesting topic and I would say it's a hot topic. And I'm sure Shabbir ji will do a very good job of explaining. Giving a short introduction of Mr. Shabbir Haider. He's currently the rural business lead in Mondelez International. And he actually likes to simplify things. He likes a lot of so he's currently in a role which makes him a lot of ideas in grassroots sales and development, and he's trying to improve a lot of the pain points that are there in the industry to make his work better. And he's always been interested in technology, in the advancements of technology. And apart from that, he is also he cares deeply about education and promotion of education as an essential tool for human development. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce Shabbir Haider as our speaker. The floor is all yours, sir.
Thanks so much, Rohit, for the kind words. Absolutely excited and frankly honored to be here. One little detail about me which perhaps would be relevant here is there's a lot which I owe to the Jain community. I have studied in the Shri Jain Vidyalaya in Calcutta. So, my childhood was spent with a lot of Jain influence. In fact, one of the influence which remains to this day is the fact that I actively meditate. I think is one of the core of my life, and that's something I got from my alma mater, which is in Bada Bazaar, Calcutta. If some of you are aware about Calcutta, so it's an absolutely an honor, a privilege, and in a way, it's like maybe giving back a little to the community which has given me so much. So with that, I will go to my session today, and it's a fairly short one. I'll say it's a 30-minute session, and the kind of ambition which I have is to take you through a lot of stuff. So how I've divided it is, so there's a small bit of a presentation which I have put up, some very basic simple slides, because it's very important to understand the context about what artificial intelligence is all about, right? And I am somebody, and it was very nice to hear Hitesh ji, when I just came and he was talking about his experience and MBA, and he was also into architecture and doing so many other stuff. It was very relatable, because that's exactly what has been the case with me also. So after my graduation, I went on to do an MBA about now 11 years back. Since then, I have been in the FMCG industry as a business manager. So I worked in companies like Amul, that's where I started, and then went to Wipro, PepsiCo, now in Mondelez, where I'm associated with the chocolate business. But what I see, and the most important thing is that it's pretty easy to, the kind of time that we live in, it's pretty easy to have multiple areas of interest and do justice to them as well, if you can obviously plan your time in a systematic manner. So my intent will be today to take you through this entire revolution which I can naturally see artificial intelligence bringing in our world. So I will be doing a little bit of context setting, but majority of my session will be live demo, so that you can actually use this tool and apply it in your real life. Now, Manish, you will have to make me a co-host, so I'll be able to share my screen. And I see that you've already done that. Perfect. So quite a lot packed in this 30-minute session. Just let me know if you can see my screen here. Is visible? Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. So I'd like to begin by saying something, which I learned from some of my favorite teachers is, when you teach something, and because teaching is a passion for me, the most important thing about teaching is you basically help and assist in the discovery. You must show the student the path, and then from there on, they are able to do things on their own. So my entire session will be all about that. My entire session will be about how you can utilize this tool in your own life, and how can you make the best of it. And the context of that obviously comes from the fact that we are living in a very unique age right now, where Just a moment, I'll erase this thing. Yeah, so we're living in a very unique age, if you look at this image, it more or less captures the essence of our times. I think this is the first time in human history where we are at an edge where there's the direct link between our ancestors and a huge potential for us to think about becoming a civilization which is spacefaring. That's the kind of conversation we see happening on a daily basis. And so then it becomes all the more important for us to understand that what is actually happening, what is so very special about the kind of times we are living in. And there is no two ways about the fact that we are living in magical times. We're extremely lucky to be able to live in the kind of times which we live in today. So I'm just putting a quote here by one of my favorite authors, Arthur C. Clarke, who says that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And just to prove my point, or prove the author's point, look at the image which is just behind this particular quote. I have generated this image myself. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a painter. It took me 2 seconds to make this image from a tool called Midjourney. In fact, I'll be taking you through that tool also. So we are living in magical times. And in the session, we'll try to see how we can use this magic for our own development, social good, and to make ourselves much more powerful professionals. The flow, as I was telling you, I'll just briefly speak about this explosion of knowledge that we're experiencing, and this is happening all across domains. So even in my own day job, which is largely about digitization of sales processes, taking care of the chocolate business, such a huge component of it involves technology that sometimes, I just realize when at the end of the day that close to 60-70% of my time goes in just sitting with people who are hardcore engineers, or people who are building things from a digital perspective. So that's the kind of I think every job has become a technology job, if I tell you the larger context of things. And then after this, I'll go to the demo of text tools, study tools, which I think will be super important for you. Then a very brief history of AI, so you can again get a little deeper into the context. Then some of the graphic tools, which I am calling the super fun stuff, because I see that at least the youngsters are super excited about it. And then we'll have if possible, we'll have a small Q&A if the time permits. Important chart here, good for you to kind of get a holistic picture of what's really happening. So there's a stack of encyclopedia you can see here, and somebody had put it on Twitter. It beautifully explains the kind of times we live in. That while every book on the top stack you will see contains knowledge which was created in 50 years, but come 22, we are seeing the kind of explosion. In 1 year, we have equivalent of, let's say, 50 years of knowledge. Then in Jan, Feb, and this is something that I'm witnessing so I've been studying a lot. In fact, right now I'm doing a course on strategic foresight and future studies, which is an area where I'm very interested in. So the kind of explosion of research papers, new discoveries, which I keep seeing on a daily basis, I have not seen it in my last 10 years. And I have always been studying. Like, there's not, despite the fact that I'm in full-time business, I have continued to study because of my passion. I have not seen this kind of excitement in this entire field of education. And what the prediction is that this is only going to go up. This is only going to get more and more diverse. And that is the thing which you have to understand, that today we live in an exponential age. I think some of you might already be familiar with this word. Some of you might be hearing this word for the first time, but I can assure you one thing: you'll be hearing this word a lot in the coming 1 decade. We are living in an exponential age where things are growing at an exponential pace. I hope I'm not supposed. I will not waste time explaining what exponents is to this audience, right? You will be understanding that the graph is pretty much showing you what exponential means like. So from an industrial age to an information age to an exponential age is what essentially I'm trying to tell you. One of the proof is what's happening with ChatGPT in particular. So while you would have seen the chart on the left very often, nowadays in social media it's spreading a lot, that it was able to achieve 1 million users in a matter of 5 days. But the other news is all the more unbelievable, that it was able to reach 100 million user in the last 2 months, and it's growing. So there is no stopping this force which has become our everyday reality. So with that, I think enough in terms of lecture. Let's go to the real deal. So I will start with one set of demos and then move to this once more. Okay, just again, do help me if you can see my screen, right? Okay, is it visible? My screen is visible. Okay, so I'm starting with something which I believe is the biggest gap right now. So when I talk to friends who are not that much into technology, or even I have talked to some engineers, some of my own team in Cadbury who are into the technology domain. The one core thing, despite chat GPT becoming such a huge phenomenon which people are not really able to understand, is it's not a search engine. You don't use chat GPT to search things. It's a large language model, okay? And I'll explain to you a little later what large language models are, because right now I'm not doing it because it will complicate things. What you have to understand is that we have a machine which is able to put itself in somebody's shoes, think from that perspective, and then give a detailed answer to your question. And there is no limit to how detailed it can get. Okay, that's I think the core part which is missing while you are using chat GPT as a professional or as a student. So that's why I'm beginning with the favorite hunt of the favorite home of any tech geek, which is GitHub. You know that in how GitHub the whole culture is to share things with each other and help each other grow. That's the whole philosophy of this particular platform. So here you will see a lot of people have put up very useful prompts. Okay, so again, you'll be hearing this word a lot. It's called prompt engineering, where you learn how to ask the AI to give what you want. Okay, so AI is something which is supremely intelligent in one way, but at the same time, it's a child. So you have to figure out how do you ask it a question so that it can answer as per your requirement. So you have to be very careful with what kind of question, how you're asking that question. So for example, let's say this is a prompt which somebody has put for in a public library, which says that act as a position interviewer, or act as a JavaScript console, or act as an Excel sheet, act as an English pronunciation helper. What essentially is trying to tell you is that you have to tell the GPT, or the other platforms which have also come up now. For example, Bing and Bard is soon going to be there in the market. So you'll have to figure this out, that when you are, let's say you're preparing for an interview, which is something you'll be in that position a lot. Now let's give you a small demo on how to best use a platform like ChatGPT when you are appearing for an interview, right? So in fact, there's a small Q&A which I had done with ChatGPT already as a preparation for this session. Some of the basic stuff which I had asked was, you tell me what are the 5 things which I should be telling young college students about generative AI and LLM. So it gave me a list. I asked is that imagine you are a teacher and explain this concept as a layperson. So again, it gave me a list. So as I told you, at the beginning, that we are at a stage now where I just need to help you discover that this is possible already. So my session was already pre-planned by ChatGPT, frankly speaking. All I had to do was, just read this out. But my intent is to help you take a session like this, because you will need to. Because right now we need to spread the good usage of this tool to as many people as possible. One of the reasons why I'm doing this in particular. So anyways, I was talking about the interview bit. So just copy the prompt here. Okay, and all this prompt are publicly available. Okay. So what it is saying, I want you to act as an interviewer. This is the most important thing you need to understand, that you are asking ChatGPT to imagine that it's an interviewer. So what it will do is, of all the database it has, it will pick up data from places where somebody's acting like an interviewer. So it will have a limited set of pool to pick up from. Then you are further telling it, you are basically giving it a scenario. You're basically telling it what you actually want. So I will be the candidate and you will ask me the interview questions for the position. Now, which position? Let's say you want to be a CA. Somebody was introducing himself as a CA. So you want to interview for a CA position. Now I want you to only reply as the interviewer. Do write all the conversation at once. I want you to do the interview with me. Ask me the question and wait for my answer. Do not write explanations. Ask me the questions one by one like an interviewer does and wait for my answers. My first sentence is hi. So now you have given them the context. Now let's see what it does. Okay, I'll have to refresh this because it tends to By the time it gets refreshes, I'll quickly move to the other tool, which pretty much utilizes this concept. So I was telling you, you have to ask ChatGPT you have to give it a personality. You have to ask it how to behave. So there is this another website called character.ai, again made by some very talented engineers right in the Silicon Valley. They have actually done it for you. Okay. So they have created personalities. So for example, these are the famous people like Albert Einstein, Elon Musk. Then there are some game characters, or there are some movies and TVs. So let's say let me pick any one of them. So maybe from famous people, let me take Albert Einstein. So now when you'll be asking questions to Albert Einstein, the LLM, the large language model, will pick up all the stuff which is there on Albert Einstein, and it's almost be like a virtual conversation you're having with Albert Einstein. So let's say, let me ask a simple question to Albert Einstein. Explain the theory of relativity to me. Imagine that I'm a 5-year-old. Okay, let's see what Einstein says. Okay, now the answers are coming. But this time the AI is behaving like Albert Einstein. So all the database it has right now is coming from whatever it has read about Albert Einstein. So it's saying time is relative to the motion of the observer. If I'm fast moving, I will age slower than you are. To me, you are moving, etc. Okay. Now you can further give him prompt. Now explain to me like I'm a college student. Explain it to me like in so many other forms. And then obviously you can carry on with this conversation as long as you want to. Now, I think that GPT is back, and I think you guys will be using this the most. So let me put this question again to GPT. So I had given him the role of an interviewer. Okay. So I had told him you have to behave like an interviewer. Thank you for coming in today. Can you tell me a little bit about experience in the accounting field? That's the first question it's asking. Okay. I have limited experience, only those that I gained from theoretical study. If you're a fresher, I think you'll be answering this. Let's see what it says. Okay. It is then asking you, can you tell me about your educational background and any coursework? So it is exactly behaving like an interviewer. Okay. So rather than answering a question, now it is having an interaction with you. It is asking questions to you which you are supposed to answer. You have turned the table. Okay. So this way there are so many applications in which you can use. So I'll take you to the GitHub screen again, and obviously I'll be sharing the link of all of this. So let's say you want help in English pronunciation, you want help to improve your English, or you want it to act as a travel guide, as a plagiarism checker. You want it to act as a character from a movie or a storyteller. So for example, I ask it a lot to act as a business strategist, because that's what my job is. You have to define how you want it to act, and then it will be able to give more accurate answers. So after this, I'll move quickly to one tool which I believe all of you should know about. So this tool is called Perplexity. So far we have discussed GPT, we have discussed character.ai. Now I'll be talking about Perplexity. Now this is super important for you as a student, because this is Google plus ChatGPT combined. Okay. Now let's say I ask it, what are the top tools for using AI in everyday work for productivity? Okay. So you can ask this question to Google also. Now see the difference in answer which it will give you. So one, it is giving you an answer in a chat GPT format. So it is basically telling you these other things, and then it is giving you a link only to those relevant stuff with further suggestions. So AI tools for business, AI tools for productivity. So let's say you click on this one. Again, it will give you a small context and then links in a very neat and clean format, which I think 6 months from now, Google will also start behaving like this. Right now, it's not. So when Bard and Google will combine together, it's not public yet, but this is going to the future of Google. Obviously, you can ask it, a little more detailed questions also if you want to. Again, I'll send a link to you. I'd love for you to discover it on your own. I believe all of you are in a position to kind of ask this question. So my idea is just to give the inputs, give the feed to you as fast as I can. I'll move to another tool which I absolutely love. And I say I love this tool because it removed my fundamental fear. So one of the fears which I had was that I used to find reading research papers very intimidating. Okay, so I used to like, and like if some of you have read research papers, they have very dense, condensed language. And as a business professional, I really don't have all that time to spend 3-4 hours reading one condensed research paper. But this tool just simplifies it to me. So what you can do is you can just simply upload any PDF file, whether a research paper or a book or your something in a document which you have written. It gets uploaded there, and then you can interact with it. You can ask questions to it. Okay, so for example, right now I have loaded a research paper here. So let it come. So this research paper is a very latest one. It is making a lot of waves in the technology circles. It's called the theory of mind may have spontaneously emerged in large language models. It's an actual research paper written by a Stanford professor. Essentially what it's trying to tell you, rather than me saying, why don't I ask this? Okay, what is it trying to tell you? What's the crux of this research paper? Okay, so this is a longish research paper. If you look, then I think there's some 18, 19 pages to it. It's a huge paper, right? Now, rather than reading this paper, what I do now is I just get the summary of it, get a gist of it. Then I dig deeper into areas which I care for. Okay, so that I don't go there with absolute blankness. I go there with already understanding what's actually this. It says this research paper examines the emergence of theory of mind, ability in language models, and the implication of this development for AI and human cognition. It also looks at the relationship between children's and mothers' mental state language and TOM understanding, as well as the effects of reading literary fiction on TOM. Now, for example, now I am not understanding what is TOM. So let me ask it. What is TOM in this paper? I think it's theory of mind itself. Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. It's theory of mind. So essentially, because I have read this paper, I'll tell you what it essentially is saying is that the researchers are finding that these AI generative models are able to now develop a theory of mind, which basically means they are able to understand things the way a human does. In very simple word, it is saying that AI system is developing empathy, which is something we never ever thought a machine will be able to do, at least in this decade. But it's actually happening. Okay. Now I'll move to one more tool. This tool again is super helpful. So what it basically does is take any YouTube video, or take any video for that matter. You just have to have a link, and you just put the link of this. For example, I was listening to this amazing podcast where you have Tim Urban and you have Lex Friedman. Definitely listen to this podcast. It's a very amazing one. So what you do here is you just put the link of the YouTube channel like this, and it will basically summarize the entire video for you. This is, now look at this podcast. This is a 2 hour 37 minutes podcast, and now you have a summary of it. Obviously, if you want to dive deeper, so let's say it says 0 to 1 hour, what's the crux of the discussion, then you see more, and then you can look at every 5 minutes what is the breakdown there. Okay, so imagine the kind of time you can save, imagine the kind of productivity this can bring, right? So that's what we're talking about. If this is not magic, I don't know what is. And all of this has become possible in the last 1 month, frankly, because all of these tools, and trust me, I keep testing these tools all the time, and the speed at which it is coming, every day you come across some amazing stuff which completely blows your mind off. So reason why you need to be absolutely on top of it, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed. Okay, so I'll again go back to some of the slides which I had put up for you guys. So here, if you look at the timeline, so it's not that everything has happened just suddenly in the last 2 years. So there has been a lot of work which has been put since 1950 onward, and it's only now that we are able to see the dramatic change, or all these tools which appear magical, but if you carefully examine, they were incrementally, we have reached here incrementally. Okay, so it's not actually that much of a magic. And what we are essentially seeing is the creation of a digital mind right in front of our eyes, a system which can think like a human does. And the interesting part is, and which is what I think most of us should try to wrap our brains around, is we are talking about machines reaching human level intelligence. But you have to also realize that while the human brain is limited by its size, the capacity, the machine is not. So we are also talking about a situation So for example, something like a language model is something that we see today. It's a generative AI, which we are hearing this word again and again. ChatGPT is a generative. Everything I showed you right now is a generative AI. Basically, a lot of text has been input. It is giving output as a text, or maybe as an image, as a video, as a music. That could be differing. But these are not the only model which is being developed. So for example, let's say if you look at what Tesla is developing. Okay, it is developing, it is giving input of spatial data, and then basis that data you can have a driverless car. Okay, now if you combine something, the kind of model which Tesla has developed, if you combine it with language model, can you see how easily now robots can be developed? A robot which can give it output as a text, as a speech, as a voice, and also navigate. See, it's naturally flowing in, right? So reason why, in fact, this graph is something I have, I constantly look at this graphs in the last 7-8 years. It's usually always my wallpaper. I found it in this particular website, Wait But Why, of Team Urban, and I think limited time left here. So what I'll do is I'll skip the super fun part, which is all the image building and all. Maybe I'll just take maybe a minute to just show you some of the stuff which you can do with it. But this chart, I think, is the most important one. We are sitting in a very, very critical position of human history where the graph is just going to go vertically up. This graph of human progress. Okay, you might see a lot of news which keeps scaring you. Bard is doing this. Bard is getting rogue. This is just pure stuff of sensationalism, which news always deal in, because if by now, we are all adults here. We know that the whole business model of news is to sell fear. Okay, I don't think there's much to fear, because in the tech circles we are absolutely excited, absolutely positive about, and there are a lot of ethical guardrails in place. So I don't think you should hear too much on what news media is trying to turn this entire thing into, but rather remember this, that we are talking about an age of augmented intelligence. All of us, I think in the next 2 years, we'll see our intelligence, our productivity level go at least 5x or 10x by combination of artificial intelligence and our own human intelligence, which again has many unique characteristics, which in fact a machine does not. In fact, a lot of work which I do in my current job usually involves getting the wisdom of the field team and getting the wisdom of the engineering team and marrying them together. So that's what I've been doing since the last 5-6 years in my role as a business strategy professional. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. There's anything to be nervous about. Will your jobs get wiped out? Obviously no. You have something unique, which is judgment and creativity. That's going to be always there. Okay, and as this technology is progressing, you yourself will upgrade, as you saw whatever I've been able to show you. In fact, I'm telling you, the course which I'm doing right now, the course on strategic foresight, literally I'm doing 4 hours of study in half an hour because of all these tools. It's saving so much time for me. I'm able to proceed at it at a breakneck pace. And it's not just me, all of you should ideally just study at the same pace now. Okay, so a lot of tools that I have still not been able to show you. I have listed it all down, so I'll share that with you. I'm also sharing some of my socials with you, so that you can reach out to me if you have further questions. There's a video I had made on my YouTube channel called The Future of Computing. I think you should see it, because it's a more elaborate description of how computing is progressing and what the likely future is going to be. Some of you might be interested. So there's a session which I'm doing tomorrow, which is in similar kind of virtual session. You can drop in there as well. I'll share that link with you. And before I leave, I think a minute is left. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you the super fun stuff. If Manish, if I'm okay to do that.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So just a couple of things, guys. So one is this tool called DALL-E 2, which is also the product of OpenAI. So OpenAI has launched many products. 2 has become very mainstream. One is ChatGPT, other is DALL-E. So DALL-E is basically a tool where you can do text to image generation, right? And huge variation of stuff that you can do there. And now I think it has become pretty advanced as well. So just before meeting you guys, I was asking it to make an image like this. I gave it some inputs, and it was able to generate an image like this. One of the funny things which I have always found about AI is that despite all the progress which has made, it's still not able to generate hands for some reason, while it is able to generate all these crazy kind of images. but it is still very weak at drawing human hands. So you will also know the day you get perfect hands from an AI, that is the day when AGI has been achieved. Now that's a word I will not elaborate on a lot because I'll leave it for you to discover. Artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence. These two words I will not elaborate because these are, very, very exciting stuff, and I want you to discover on your own in my spirit as the teacher who just hints at things and leaves everything for the student to discover. One last tool is this tool called Leonardo.ai. So I have been because I'm a very constant user, so I was given an early access to it, which you guys can also try to get it. But though it's not public right now, but it has crazy potential. So this is the kind of images I'm able to generate here. Okay, and maybe what I can do is I can just create one of the images live so that you can see how it gets done also. So there's a community feed here where people from across the world, people like me who are tinkering with this tool and keep making all these images. So many a times, when I'm in a hurry like right now, rather than giving it a complete prompt, if I like an image, what I do is I just copy that prompt and do some variation to it and create an image of my own. So for example, let's say I'm interested in, let's say this one, just randomly picking it. So you can just copy this prompt or even try to remix this prompt and it will create something which is more for your liking. So you can twist and turn around with it. So let's say you want to make it a regal emperor, okay, protected by everything else remains the same. For example, let's say what it does. So all I'm saying is the wonderful part is, you don't have to start from scratch when you have to learn AI. There's this entire world community out there for you. Everything is, pretty much put on the plate. You just have to come there, apply your intelligence, apply your creativity, and learn this at a very, very fast pace. Okay, so right now it's generating these 4 images. So you have option to generate 1 to 8 images, different dimension you can give it, different width and height you can give it. Further more steps, you can put your own image and try to get an AI version of it. You can maybe put an image of yourself in a t-shirt, ask it to wear a formal suit or something. Those are stuff capabilities that it has. And there is one more very interesting tool called Mid Journey, which is mostly it sits on Discord right now. That is again something that I'll highly recommend you guys to use. The quality of the images, the output that you can get from there is immense. So yeah, this is what it has been able to generate right now. Okay, right in front of your eyes, right? This is just I made this just right now, and these are some of the images I made in the past. Similar, again, struggle with the hand as you can see. I keep struggling to make a hand. So you can, this again, depending on, so this is a very busy prompt here, but then look at the kind of output that you can get from this kind of a prompt. So pretty much out there in the public domain. And with this, I think I'll close because I think I overshot also, but wishing you all the best. I think the Q&A would be a little difficult, but I'll be sharing all the links which I have talked about, so that how do I do that, Manish? I'll put it in the chat box.
You can put it on the chat box. You can send it to me also. I will then forward it to the group. But before you go, I would like to, if you're okay, we would take 1 or 2 questions, because I think
Why not?
there's a lot of interest, I think, and people would want to know something. Thank you very much. I mean,
so just let me take just 2 seconds. I have all this copy because I knew that I will have a limited time, so I just put it all in one place. So this is everything I showed you, okay? And I'm sharing this in the spirit of open source movement, where we share stuff without any sort of hesitation and inhibition. That's the whole point. And these are some of my socials. You can reach out to me as well. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I will just 1 second. So anybody has a question, please raise. Okay, I didn't need to say that also. They're already raising their hands. So yes, we will have a question from our very own Kavita ji from Delhi, Kavita Bhartia ji, who's the secretary for TPF Delhi. Yes, please, Kavita ji, go ahead. Yeah, I would like to you to first introduce yourself and then ask the question.
Yeah, surely. I'm Kavita Bhartia, international life coach and trainer. Sari drape artist, which is very unique, plus MBA in marketing. I will not waste time in that because my question is really important.
Sure.
The thing that I've been trying this chat GPT for last 2 months.
Okay.
Earlier I did in while logging in that website kind, Google me website karke. Now I
Correct.
downloaded one app, and those app, few are paid, few are unpaid. So how to
There is no app for Chat GPT as of now,
yeah,
is what I
I
know.
have one app. I have
They
one
are,
app.
I think they're coming up with a lot of fake apps also, but OpenAI, the mother company of ChatGPT, they have not published an app as of now, as per my knowledge.
In iPhone, generally you don't get fake one. I have one
Okay.
which I've been
Okay.
using. It is called as it is AI Chat GPT.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
But again, they are asking like, do you think that if we are going for any app or anything like that, payment wise, how does it affect? Like, I was not interested in making payment. Reason behind, I was not
You should
very.
not. It's yeah. If it's an app, I don't see the. I showed you so many other tools, right? I showed you character.ai, Perplexity. They are super powerful. You should use them. I think Bing and Bard is going to be live in the next 2 months. So Bing is already, a lot of my friends have gotten access to Microsoft Bing. It's again free. I think it will be completely public in the next 1 month. Bard is again, I think, a couple of months. So in fact, my wife works for Google, and right now they're all testing Bard. Sorry, there's a load shedding here, so I'll just put my video off. So I'm telling right now, I don't think you should waste money in any kind of a tool right now, because you have everything for free anyways, and they are very high quality tools. So right now the idea is, for the users across the globe to interact with this tool, so that then the companies can learn more from that data generated and empower the tool also. I don't think there is any reason to invest right now in any kind of subscription.
Yeah, second important question that usually now children are also being asked that they can do their homework, they can do their other tasks using this AI. Don't you think, like, I have a son 14 years old. I really don't want him, though I help him in his homework, but still I don't want him to use this one, because ultimately what happens, he'll stop using his brain and everything will come automatically from this chat GPT.
Yeah, I think that's a fair reservation on your part, but somebody I really respect, he described Chat GPT as a calculator for languages, and it just made so much sense. Would you stop your child to use a calculator? No, right? Because you want them to augment their mathematical skill. In the same way, I think there should be restricted use, because, for example, there will be certain maths exam where calculators are not allowed, right? Because you want to do the calculation in your head. In the same way, definitely you should kind of ration that this is the amount of time that they can use ChatGPT. But if you are not exposing your kid to generative AI tools right now, I think it's an injustice, because then they will not be able to learn at the kind of speed which I was talking about. So, for example, when I am today doing a course and I do a lecture, and when I listen to a lecture, what I do is I take all the notes from there, put it on that Humata tool which I showed you, and then start getting the summary of it, and then it really enhances the quality of my learning. So I definitely feel ration it, but don't stop your kid.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have just one more question from Aryan Ranka.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hi, Aryan. Hi.
Hi. So you said that there are much development right now going on in the field of AI.
Yeah.
So what are the various sources of information through which we can get such knowledge?
Sources of information for AI knowledge, right? So for me, see, for me, it's largely.
I would just want to interrupt that he just now told you about AI. So you could probably ask the question to that app itself.
Yeah, but one limitation which GPT has, it's not connected to the internet, so it might not be able. So the data that you find in GPT is 2021 limit. Beyond that, it won't be able to tell you. And obviously, you will want the data of the last week, because that's what I'm telling you. That's the kind of progress we are seeing in this field. So I think for me, the most useful tool for new update is Twitter, because that's where all the geeks, all the technologists are. Discord is very important. I think all of you should. And I also realize that Discord is largely something which the youth uses. But I think, some of us, who are, we can now call ourselves the oldies, we should also be very active on Discord, because some very high quality information is out there on Discord these days. And what you can also do is you can subscribe to some good quality AI newsletters. And you'd notice that I have not once recommended news channels to you or news media to you, because that's absolutely the wrong place to go and learn about something as fast evolving as AI. Because what I have largely seen is even the respected media, Forbes and New York Times, they are also kind of putting very biased news about AI development. So you should learn it straight from the engineers, learn it straight from the people who are actually working in the field, and all of them are available in Twitter. I definitely follow Sam Altman, who is the founder of OpenAI. Andrej Karpathy, who was the ex-director in Tesla. Now he has also joined the OpenAI team. In fact, you'll be surprised, a lot of people from Google are joining OpenAI now, because the kind of quality of work that they're producing. Beyond that, follow all the technology CEOs, I'll say. Again, from or maybe technology companies, you'll get a lot of information from them. So I think Twitter is the place to be.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one last question from Gaurav, because he's not kept his hand down. So, Gaurav,
All
please
right.
go ahead.
Hello. Hi, sir.
Hi, Gaurav. Hi.
So, sir, first of all, a really informative session.
Thank
As
you.
in, when I first heard about ChatGPT, I was actually looking forward to such a session where I get to know more about such AIs.
Right.
So,
Okay.
thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So, sir,
Absolutely.
my question is regarding I am a CA student, so I am from commerce background. So, sir, I find myself, kind of amazed by these technologies which are developing right now.
It is. Trust me, I have been studying since the last 10 years. Even I'm amazed. So I can understand if you are also kind of wonderstruck. It is something
yes, sir.
wonderful.
So, sir, the thing is that now when I see so much progress happening in the field of AI and some other things, I continuously question myself whether in the future like the career I am heading towards, will it soon be overtaken by AI? Because the progress it has made me question it several times. So can you just clear that for me?
Sure. Very valid question. I think I could not have put it any better. You will be surprised that this is a question which even I go through. That will my job survive? But then the basic simple framework, and I'm glad that the one good thing which I did was I never stopped studying. So I have constantly, even after my MBA, on and off, I have always been doing some courses. I have always been associated with upgrading myself. And I think that is the reality of our times, that the moment you stop learning, you'll become irrelevant. But if you continue learning, I don't think there is any tool in the world which can replace you, because you have to understand that till date and in the foreseeable future, human brain remains the most powerful machine ever in existence in this universe. Okay.
Yes.
We are talking about a world which obviously by 2030 everything will be very different from what it is now. Just as 10 years back it was very different from what it is now, right? I mean, just if you just compare 10 years back, if you ask your parents how the world was 10 years back and now, there's a dramatic difference. Next 10 years it will be ultra dramatic. It will be so much more different. We are talking about there will be tools in place which will perhaps do all the basic menial stuff. At the same time, there are tools now which can do the creative stuff. Okay. But then this also means that the horizon, the canvas of human endeavor is just going to expand. So for example, when you keep hearing about space travel, I don't think it's going to remain a distant dream in the next 1 decade. So from that perspective, then you realize that because the canvas will be so big, then you combined with artificial intelligence, so basically augmentation of your own intelligence, your own capacity. So that is something to gun for. That is something to fight for. That how can you keep upgrading yourself to the point that, because see, you have something unique, which is judgment, creativity, ability to generate new thoughts, which is something that machine is dependent on whatever information it already has. Whereas at least we have this unique capability to think of absolutely new stuff. And you'd also know that all of us are unique, right? So I'm unique, you are unique, all of us in this room are absolutely unique. So that is what we have to anchor on. This is what we have to leverage. But you should not be worried about the fact that going forward, would you have a job? Trust me, the number of jobs which AI will replace, it will create many-fold more jobs. And in fact, right now, one basic thing which I share with everybody who's young is, irrespective of what you're studying, it could be accounting, it could be finance, it could be strategy, ensure that you know technology, you know basic coding, you understand how machines work, how computers work. So basically, your studies plus knowledge of technology, and I think you're absolutely good to go.
So, sir, can I add on to that question, like a follow-up question? So, as you said that we have to continue learning, like learning has to be something we have to do continuously, and it shouldn't stop. So, as you talked about earlier regarding how do I educate myself more about AI, you told about following the Twitter handles of the founders of these tech companies, the CEOs of tech companies. So I have
listen to podcasts, etc. Also, I skipped mentioning that, but podcast is a great source of learning. So listen to podcasts as well.
So, sir, that's what I want to come into. That where do I start actually? Because I have been following them and the
understood.
language
so
that they use.
But just one thing, Gaurav, because we had already kind of eaten up a little of the extra time. So what you can do is connect with me on any of the socials. I keep sharing good resources. Okay, so you can always DM me there, and I understand you want a list of stuff which you can study and put your mind to. I'll be happy to kind of share that with you.
Yeah, I understand that, sir. So,
yes.
Yeah, I'll surely connect to you.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Maybe LinkedIn.
For all your questions.
Anywhere. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, thank you very much, Shabbir, for joining in, and I am really happy that you managed to keep your timeline of 9:05. We wanted to extend your timeline, but yes, because of paucity of time, we will definitely have a lot of more sessions. And your mentoring was amazing today. And thanks to your wife, Kuntal, also to join in. She's also here today. And Kuntal, if you want to just say a quick few words, if you want to just speak out, please do and let us know. Kuntal is from Google and she is wife of Shabbir. Kuntal, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So, Shabbir, it was a good session and also a very enthusiastic audience. I just have one point for students here that, see, apart from utilizing whatever resources that Shabbir has shown for what you are studying, there's always, always have this fear, right, that whether your course will be relevant or not. So, the thing or the solution to that is that you also use these AIs in the area of passion. So, for example, apart from your probably many people might be finding their courses boring, right? So, apart from the boring things, there might be certain things that you are actually interested in. So, it can be anything from say any subject for or art or something creative for any of you. So start building yourself on that front. So even if something happens to your mainstream career, you will have built up so much capability in the second thing. So basically the idea is do not keep all your eggs in the same basket. That is the need of the time. And if you keep learning, then you'll definitely survive in the first one, but at the same time there'll be an alternative. So that would be one suggestion from my end. And thank you so much for the session. I think it's really nice to see so many people joining.
So thank you, Kuntal. Thank you for joining in. And Shabbir, really impressed by what you have said today. And this was much needed. And we would definitely want you to have more detailed sessions with the kids over here. And whenever the time permits from your end, we will try and keep it so that more and more students benefit from it. And okay, sorry, have I unmuted you? Have I muted you? Okay. Okay. So thank you.
Actually,
Shabbir.
I had put myself on mute, but yeah, I was on mute. Yes.
Thank you very much once again, and see you soon on
My
this.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. So